Hello and welcome to a first recording as a test with Camtasia. We'll see how this works for our demonstrations in Illustrator. So here in Illustrator I have the blob brush tool. That's something I want you to be familiar with. If you double click on the icon, this gives you your options. This works very well with a pen tablet. I'm using a Wacom right now. I'm going to take the size of this brush up to, I don't know, let's say 15. Well, it's not going to give it to me exactly, and it's already set to be a pressure sensitive thing. I'm going to take the variation all the way up to the right, and this will match whatever I have here. If this is 14 point, I want a full variation there. Right now I have the angle fixed. I'm going to go back to normal. I don't really need that. I'm not going to worry about that now. This is just something I have left over from before. I'll just go ahead and use this and go back into the settings. So with the blob brush, it lets you create a line with the tablet that has thick and thin. So this is very much like a brush line that you would do with a brush. Very nice type of line. Just press heavy, thick line, press light, get thin line. And right now you can see that it's fairly loyal to whatever I draw. So as I'm drawing it, do some smooth motions, it smooths it out just a little bit, but not too much. So it's not too much of a concern. If I want everything to be a little bit more or less loyal, I can mess with the fidelity. If I do fidelity 0.5 pixels, we're going to see that exactly what I do is pretty much exactly what I get. If I go back and have more like 4 fidelity, I can do a stroke and it should clean it up for me. Not really seeing a huge difference here. But if you have problems with thinking that what you did carefully is not showing exactly, it's messing with the fidelity, that will help. Back here at the shape of the brush, I can bring this back to roundness 100% to get something that doesn't have any variation. And let's show that. So here I get the thick and thin without worrying about what direction I'm pointing in. And you can see that going back to this brush and doing a tighter thing is going to be more like a calligraphy brush. And having both of those fixed lets me do more calligraphy type things. And with some types of artwork, you definitely want to have that thick and thin relationship set. So you can do strokes that are going to be predictable. With going this way, it'll be thicker. Going this way, they'll be thinner. There's still variation that happens, but it's going to be more along the size of what brush you have there. One other thing to note with the blob brush is that when you use it, and you select one of the things that you've done, it does the full vector outline of whatever thing you're doing. It's not like the art brushes that do a single line with a style applied. And as you do multiple strokes with your brush, they're all going to be joined as a single shape. If you do not want them to join, you need to choose other colors. And let's get this closed here. So if I choose a color here, and notice that it likes to use the stroke color down here as the color that it's working with. But if I do another color over the top, I can keep changing that. Let's get back on the stroke. Keep changing that color. None of them are going to join together because they're separate colors. They are recognized as separate objects. So that should be a very helpful thing to you, and you can use that quite a bit in your process, whether you're staying in Illustrator or going to Photoshop. It's a great thing. One more detail to share on blob brush. If you go in your system preferences, Wacom tablet, this really matters right here, the tip feel. If I change this to firm, I'm going to have an easy time doing very fine lines. Let's get this back to a round brush. You can see what I mean. I can press really lightly and get that line. It's harder to get a thicker line. But this allows me to start thin and end thin quite easily. If my brush is really soft, it's going to be the opposite. So a very soft brush, I have a really hard time getting those thin things, but it's great if you're doing something that's really lumpy. So if you're not getting quite the strokes that you want, you may want to go back in and set a more moderate firmness to your brush. So you can get the thick and thin where you want them and being able to end on a thin stroke. So here I would probably even do it a little bit thinner, or firmer, because I want it to be able to end sharp. Okay, should be lots of fun.